I'm Dr. Willie Jolly, and many of you might know me from my book, A Setback is a Set Up for a Comeback. And my book, It Only Takes a Minute, Change Your Life, or Attitude of Excellence. But now people know me as the helpmate to the beautiful and brilliant and dynamic and vivacious D. Taylor-Jolley.
He expects to get some later. That's why he's saying all of that.
I hope so. Anyway, with with the authors of the book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. 10 Secrets to Shape a Great Marriage. We've
Oh,
been
I love
married.
the hearts. That's so
We've
nice.
been married for going on 36 years. Haven't had an argument in over 33 years, and we are grateful. so grateful to be here with you, and want to bring you up on some news things before we get started into today's show. This is the last show we'll be doing on the Willie.Jolly Facebook Live and the at Willie Jolly Instagram, or the real Willie Jolly Instagram. We have created some new social media handles that y'all should know about. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at A Jolly Marriage. We're going to be shifting to our new social media handles, A Jolly Marriage. If you want a jolly marriage, then you need to follow us on A Jolly Marriage at all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So let's get talking about.
What's our topic for this evening?
That's right.
And I think it's probably Happily Married Monday.
I think so
You think
too.
that's
I
what it
think it's
is?
Happily Married Monday there. But she typed it up. I go with my wifey. So, we've been getting so many comments, responses, letters, questions. We ask everybody to send your questions to us at info@williejolly.com. Info, INF as in Frank O, at williejolly.com. Because we get a lot of questions about money and marriage. Marriages can go off the rails as a result of money, and they often do. People have big fights, arguments, break up over money. And so we realize this is something we got to have some conversations about and have some deep dives into, because it can mess up your marriage, but also mess up your sex life. I don't want nobody messed up no sex life. Now, y'all know that's important. Important. So what we want to do is talk about money and marriage and how we've been able, we really are amazing. And we haven't had an argument in over 30 years. That doesn't mean we don't disagree. We disagree, but
We don't agree about everything,
right.
but we're able to talk it out.
All right, that's a good way to say it. But money is not one of the things we disagree about. I don't think we've had even a disagreement about money, because we created a system and we talk through things. You'll say,
I think the system is talking through, but we didn't always start out where we are now.
no, I'm saying now.
That is not where we started.
No. I'm saying now we haven't had an argument though,
Right.
about money because of the way we created the systems. But now we got a rhythm about money.
Okay, so the quickest system is that we have a household account. Now, see, the interesting thing about us is that we're business partners and we're married. Those are really two different things.
Right.
So it's kind of like we had an advantage in that we had to figure out how to talk to each other, because
Right.
we were dealing with business stuff and with personal stuff.
Right.
And so we kind of we had to share.
Absolutely. So S.R. Terrence said, number one problem, money in marriage.
Yes.
Absolutely. Money, if you go through studies, you'll find that money and marriage, well, there are three big boulders, okay? There's really three big boulders. Sex, big boulder, people who have too much, too little, somebody out too much outside the marriage, too little inside the marriage. Sex. Money, too much money that is going out, or too much or too little money coming in, or how you handle the money, whatever amount within the marriage. And then third is communication. So sex, money, communication. And communication really is the key to getting past those other problems.
Well, the communication is the common thread. We always say that. Sometimes I feel like we're just repeating ourselves.
We got to say it over and over again because
the
two reasons.
Communication is the common thread of everything. Because if you can't talk about, if you can't speak and understand each other's language, there are always going to be challenges.
Right. By the way, want everybody to know we got a chapter on all those topics in the book. Sex, we got a chapter about sex.
Chapter about money. Money matters.
Money matters, and communication.
What we're doing for the next couple of weeks is we're talking about money and marriage.
I want them to go get the book. She jumping on. I want y'all to go buy the book. If you do not have this book, go get 2 copies. One for you and one for your significant other. Read it together. Read it together. Read it together. Highly recommend you read it together, and we give you a great price.
And each answer you answer your questions, and then you share.
Look, that's how Terrence says so far. When they spend the mortgage money, you won't have a bed.
You're not going to do that.
But you're not going to do that. We're going to get past that.
We're going to talk about that. Okay. So the specific, can I give them a specific topic?
That's now? That's talk.
May I do that, sir?
You may.
Thank you so much. Okay, so here we go.
She's a cutie pie, isn't she?
So here we go. So
yes.
You're trying to get brownie points now. Okay. Because see, I have laid out what the topic is, because with an idea, we're going to take this to a blog because it really is a lot of information.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
That you haven't had time to read all the details, and I drive you crazy with the details. So here we go. So the topic is, are you arguing about money? That was the topic. And then the subtitle is, maybe you're speaking 2 different languages.
Big deal.
Maybe you're speaking 2 different money languages.
Right.
Then I started to go down the rabbit hole of, how in the world did you learn about money? And we started talking about that. We
went on a ride and we had a conversation about it.
There's so many different ways that we get asked questions about some kind of money situation. You know, from I want to buy something, I want to take out a loan, and my spouse says, no, we're not going to do that. Save up enough money instead. You know, it's just all kinds of, and somebody's upset.
Right.
So we took a ride and asked the question, how did you learn about money in your household?
How did y'all talk about money? What was the conversation about money in your household? It was interesting. It was a profound conversation because we've been married.
That's something we've never asked each other.
We've been married for we've been married for 36 years. Have been together almost 40 years. And we hadn't had that specific conversation. We talked about money, but we hadn't talked about, what are your parents? What are your family? How did they talk about money?
How did you learn about money? Why don't you put that in the chat? How did you learn about money? And I tell you, I even called my brother to say, how did you learn about money? Is this how you learned about it from our parents? This is what I learned. Am I right about it? Now, I would just say, I said to him, I don't ever remember my parents talking about money. Everybody
worked hard.
Now, my father worked in the shipyard, Newport Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company, crawling
job number 1.
Hulls of ships, right?
That was number 1 job.
Then he come home, leave his clothes in the garage because they had little steel particles. He had mesothelioma later, okay? And then I would have his bath water drawn. He would eat by 4:30 in the afternoon. Then he would go to the barbershop.
Second job.
Right? Then he would check in on the grocery store.
Third job.
All right? And then plus, he was a minister. He had a church.
Yeah, that was not a revenue
job. That was a labor of love.
That's right.
Okay, and then my mom was here. Everybody worked. But I never remember having a conversation that said, you know, like people say, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to save for it or what. I never heard I had no money conversation. Is that highly unusual? I had no money conversation growing up. Money was always there.
Wow.
So that's good and that's bad.
Right.
It was a culture shock for me. I had no money conversation about going to college.
Nothing.
It would have been very different if I had realized, because I did not go to college where I got money.
Right.
And I asked my daddy, bless his heart.
And let's make sure y'all heard what she said. She had a full ride to a college that she did not want to go to.
In West Virginia. I didn't want to go.
She wanted to go to HU, you know.
Howard University.
All right. And so.
And I asked my daddy, I said, Daddy, I don't want to go. I want to go to Howard University.
And he found the money.
And he said, baby, you can go to Howard University. Now, you know, if my child said, I want to go to school where I'm not getting any money, you know I would have said, heck no.
That's not quite the words you used.
No.
But yeah, you would have.
But I'm saying I really had no concept of money.
Right.
And they never said, you can't have this. And I don't think I wanted a lot because I maintained the household. Everybody was working. Everybody had a job.
Right. So they did not talk about money. But
everybody worked.
Everybody had a work ethic.
Everybody had a job. And my brother, 4 years younger than me, he worked in the grocery store counting candy. That's how he learned how to count. Isn't that something?
So we've learned that was a conversation.
That was me. And you had
my mama talked about saving. She always said save money. And I think my grandmother also influenced us because my grandmother was an entrepreneur. She had a beauty salon and she sold hair care products that she created. This hair growing gel or salve or whatever. And they put it in little tin cans. She'd make it up in big batches and they sold it. And so she was making money, but she always talked about saving. Save the money. Save your money. Don't spend all your money. Save your money. My mother, save your money. Now, understand, my mother, her father and mother divorced when she was a little child, and she was raised by her father.
That was highly unusual.
Very
in the
unusual.
1920s, 1930s.
And so in the 30s, there was the Great Depression. He lost all his money in the Great Depression and was suicidal. Said he would have killed himself except for this little girl he was raising, and he couldn't leave her by herself. But my mother, I think that influenced or impacted her for the rest of her life. I never heard her talking about stocks and bonds and investing. Ever.
Your granddad worked for the railroad.
He worked for the railroad, but his wealth was going to be in these stocks and bonds that he had bought. He had invested in stocks and bonds. He lost everything in the Great Depression. So but he did have a job. But I think my mother, by that, saw how he struggled, or the impact of the Great Depression. People were in soup lines and so forth. So she was always mindful of saving, putting some away. And she didn't talk about investing. We never heard the word investing. My grandmother, saving. So when my grandmother died, she left a significant amount of money for an African-American woman. Her husband had died. And she left a significant amount of money plus a home. And my mother, when she died, had some savings. And when we bought our home, she loaned us money to buy.
No, I think she gave it to us.
She gave us money.
And my aunt loaned me money, and I paid it down. So what we're seeing here, two things we're seeing here. I came out of a household where nobody ever talked about saving or investing, but we always had money because everybody was working 24/7.
Working hard, okay?
Okay, and you came out of a household where people said save.
And I was a saver.
So now we get married, and what happened?
I'm saving.
And you can't say I was really spending.
You weren't spending, but you didn't have money.
My disposable money.
You did not have money.
Because we pooled our resources into a household account. You had an individual, I had an individual, and then we had a household account. So my what I call my individual, my spending money, I was a great discount shopper.
Yes.
But I wasn't shopping buying stocks.
Right.
I was shopping at TJ Maxx and Marshalls and buying stuff instead of buying the stock. So so that's our story. What's your story?
All right, let me go through some of the people. Yeah, some of the people have great stories. There is Diane Withers said, I don't mind talking about money either. Yes. America Chapman, I learned after college and way too many student loans. And then so other people are experiencing the same thing. Let's see. Hey, Sharice Crawford and Terrence Easton
Nobody
Graham.
in my family pentagram talked about.
Wow.
Wow,
And
yes.
Sharisa, thank you for reminding me to earn my value, honey. So Sharice and Tony Bernard Wagner, thank you. We love Sharice. And then Terrence said, nobody in my family talked about money. They talked about surviving, keeping a roof over their head, clothes and food. Many had trouble paying phone bill, electric bill.
Yes.
You know, like good show, like the show Good Times. You know, exactly. That was part of what we saw in our community, and we saw nobody talked about money. Nobody talked about
Well,
investing.
certainly not investing.
Nobody. I never heard anybody talk about investing ever growing up.
Or in my case,
But there were a lot of entrepreneurs.
yes.
My grandmother was an entrepreneur. My uncle Willie, who I was named after, had a very profitable store in
But it's not like they
Virginia.
sat down and talked about you need to have a year's worth of money saved.
Nope.
Why? Or emergency because something can happen.
Nope.
Okay, you need to invest.
Nope.
Invest, what does that mean? Have those dollars go out and bring back more dollars so that when you can't work, you've got something that's making money for you. I never heard that. So now, research. The Center for Retirement Research at Boston College did a study in 2016 that really went back to like 1997. And it was, the name of the study was Marital Histories, Gender and Financial Security in Late Midlife. Okay, this is what they found. They found that marriage is an established predictor of financial well-being in later life. In other words, people who get married and stay married do better on average financially than single people, divorced people, or even couples who live together. And married folks do even better when they work together. I was like, wow, I was excited to hear that. What tends to make the difference also? When you understand how you and your partner view money.
That's it. Put a pin.
When you understand. So,
the big point.
What?
Sharice Crawford just asked a great question. So many families still don't talk about money. How do you recommend bringing up the financial discussion with the person you're dating, which you get right there, right? That's your next point, that she is already prepared.
Okay.
Right.
So, when you understand how you and your spouse view money, it allows you to talk openly. So you have to start to talk about, okay, how? Okay.
I got to give a joke here.
What?
Before we go, you go ahead, because I see a question for parents.
Okay. You and your partner or spouse will usually have different languages. And see, we didn't really know that.
Right.
We've been married all these years, but we kind of figured out, but we never really articulated the differences of how we learned about money.
Actually, let's talk right there for what Sharice brought up. Did we talk about money while we were dating? I don't remember, but it seems like we talked about.
I knew you were tight with the dollar.
You knew that because
I probably talked about that.
I talked about it.
And on the first date or the second date, you were riding down through the park, and I had my fur coat on, and he ran out of gas. Something should have told me right then it was cheap. He ran out of gas.
My fuel gauge did not work, but I had a system that I knew.
And I had a fur coat on.
I knew how much gas and how many miles. I thought I had but it was winter and the snow takes up more.
So I knew he was.
Fuel.
I knew he was tight with $1. Okay, and he knew I had lost my job.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I had lost my job. I was working for an association. They fired me. I lost my. They fired me. They downsized. They didn't like me. They're lost. But anyway,
they're lost because everything worked out well.
It was devastating. But so I was tight because I only had X amount of money, and I hadn't even figured out how to budget and stuff.
You didn't even have a budget.
I was just anyway.
Well, you know, but you know what? She was living a certain lifestyle. Now that's what we want to.
I did have a sports car.
Sports car, yeah, a condo.
I had a condo
that you didn't own.
Oh my God, it just gets worse.
You had a fur coat. You already talked about a fur coat.
I had a fur coat. That I bought at the secondhand store. Lord have mercy.
Okay, let me go ahead.
God's grace.
Terrence said even when we went to church, they preached the money was evil. Now I love that one because it reminds me of some of y'all too young to remember Flip Wilson. He used to have a television show. Now I'll never forget this monologue that he was playing a preacher. And he said, he had the preacher in the choir and the congregation. You know, we want to grow this church. Let it grow. Let it grow. And then right now we're crawling. Let it crawl, Rev. Let it crawl. And then if we couldn't get cut off, if we start crawling, we're going to get up on our feet and start walking. Let it walk, Rev. Let it walk. And then we're going to get some running going on. Let it run, Rev. Let it run. And in order for this church to run, we need some money. Let it crawl, Rev.
Now, what does that have to do exactly with what we're talking about?
Because he talked about the fact that the old theology, one of my new books I'm working on now, is the new theology about money and about success and how this isn't a prosperity theology. It's about an achievement and an accomplishment and a wealth building theology. And that is what we want people to understand because ministries need money. You can do more good with money. People said
you can't help people if you don't have
hard to help people if you don't have money.
And one resource is money, but you can't give food to somebody who's hungry if you can't pay for
money.
Food
Gives you tools to do more of what you have a heart to do. And so thank you for bringing that up, Terrence. But what we're doing is changing it. I was on by the way, I have my Sirius XM show, and I do the pre-record the interviews. Today I did an interview with the first African American woman who has created $1 billion business.
No, you should tell people
Janice,
about the podcast and
y'all should go to my podcast.
It's amazing.
My podcast.
This lady Janice
Bryant
Howroyd.
And we talked about faith, works, and wealth. Come on, somebody. It was fantastic. So we want to help people understand that money is not evil. You've heard that old thing that money is the root of all evil. No, it's the love of money. Money is a tool. This phone is a tool. This microphone is a tool. They're tools. They're not evil or good. It's how you use them.
You don't fall in love with them. Okay, so we didn't get to.
We're not going to be able to get to.
What kind of money personality do you have?
What kind? We got a few
so
of them.
we'll cover this again. We're going to have to go to part 2 next week. But
next week, go ahead.
So here they are. Are you a saver? I'll just run this short list. Are you a saver, number 1? Or are you a spender and or shopper?
Ooh.
Are you a saver or you're a spender or shopper? You know, you just kind of buy everything. You could be a retail shopper. And I was a retail shopper. I was a retail shopper on sale.
On sale.
But I was still a retail shopper, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can change. Are you an investor? So you're a spender.
Saver.
A saver. An investor. I didn't know anything about that. That means you're consciously aware of money and what it can do. And people work to carefully make decisions so that their investments replace their regular income so they can live off of the dividends that they make. I didn't know anything about that. Then there are debtors.
What's that?
Okay, a debtor is, they don't even try to analyze their finances. They simply spend without thinking. So they just have uncontrollable debt.
And they got credit cards that many people got credit cards in college. And they just racked them up. And before you know it, you got this credit card debt that's overwhelming.
And they spend more than they earn, and then the interest eats them up.
Right.
Okay? And then you have the indifferent to money person, which is part of what I was too, because I had no clue about saving versus investing.
And you had no clue about budgeting.
Correct.
Right.
I didn't know what a budget was. I didn't need a budget. I just, it was there. You know, it's terrible. There's hope.
She turned it around, boy. She turned it around.
And then there's the gambler.
The gambler.
So I've read all these different articles and then research, and those are like the basics.
And you know, I remember,
and you're a combination. And people are combinations.
And people live according to philosophies on life. Whatever your philosophy. I remember going to the islands one time, way before we got married, and I went for a vacation. And this guy said something. He said, "Ain't no price on fun," and he was just spending and big ball of.
So where did he have where did the money come from?
Well, he took all his money, but he said there was no price on fun. That there was no limit on what he would spend for. He'd get the lobster.
So what was tomorrow? So I'm thinking about now. I'm thinking about
tomorrow. No price on fun. You just have fun, and there is a price. Because if you're not good with your money, it will leave you. The Bible says in Proverbs that money will float away, get wings and fly away. And that's exactly what happened. Look,
so, are you a gambler? Are you indifferent to money?
We can't go over now.
Are you a debtor? Are you an investor?
Time is up.
Are you a spender or are you a saver?
All right, let me say again for everybody so you listen carefully. This is the last week we're going to do our show on Willie.Jolley Facebook Live and The Real Willie Jolley on Instagram. Starting next week, we're going to be on A Jolley Marriage. That's our new social media handles. Everybody, please sign up on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You want a Jolley Marriage? Do you want A Jolley Marriage? Then sign up on A Jolley Marriage and you will do it. Let's see.
On Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter.
And we want you to go to Jolley Marriage, just jollymarriage.com or ajollymarriage.com. But I get jollymarriage.com to get the books. We want you to get 2 copies of the book. Everybody on this view should have 2 copies of the book. Read the book together with your significant other. Oh, look here. Erica Campbell joined. I got to give her some love because y'all know I'm on every morning, Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell. And she and her husband, I have a tremendous ministry in California.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. And y'all can hear me every morning on her show on Radio 1 stations, on Urban One Network. And it is fabulous. She's a tremendous talent, tremendous woman of God. And y'all know she's a great singer. The Grammy Award-winning, Stella Award-winning, every kind of award. They've won every award. So thank you for joining us, Erica. So look, folks, this is the last week we're going to be on The Real Willie Jolley and on Willie.Jolley. We're going to shift it.
So we're trying to get all the names and things.
Jolley.
So you only have to remember one thing. That would be good.
Jolley Marriage. Jolley Marriage. So we've talked about money and marriage. And she's given you some of the things. We're going to come back next week and we're going to really dump in.
What type of money personality do you have? So just start to think about that.
And talk to your significant
other.
And
how did you learn? Ask your
Where
spouse
did you learn
or significant other. How did you learn about money? And what did you learn?
We learned.
I got nothing.
Nothing. I got saving. Save, which I did.
But I had everything I needed, but I had no clue until later on that was a problem.
Because you spent that. She said something and I let it go. When she came back to D.C., she was working for a congressman, and they made her an offer to come back and work in the congressman's office on Capitol Hill. And she said, "You know what?" I said yes, and had no idea what to say.
I never asked how much they were going to pay me. Negotiate? You know, that's something that's that people are talking about now, and that women negotiate less than men. I didn't negotiate at all.
But we do better now, don't we?
Yes.
We negotiate, and she is tough negotiator. Hey, look.
Because I had to learn it.
Well, look.
Everything is teachable.
Our time is up. We want to thank you. We're overtime. Want to thank y'all for your support. Thank y'all. Hi from Raleigh, North Carolina. We got somebody calling in from on Facebook. We got people coming in from Greece and Paris.
So remember,
come on.
A Jolley Marriage. That's what we're becoming next week. A Jolley Marriage on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm gonna have to Ingrained on my forehead.
You're cute though. You have a
Thank you.
cute forehead.
Thank you.
36 years coming up. We got 36 years coming up real good, real soon. And we haven't had an argument in 30 years, and we are grateful. But go to jollymarriage.com, get the book, make love, make money, make it last. This is Dr. Willie Jolley.
And this is Dee Taylor-Jolley.
We love y'all. And remember, your best is yet to come. Jolly out.
Jolly out.
God bless y'all.